Innovation was a central topic at this year's Cyber Live from Texas event hosted by Night Dragon and the NYSE. That innovation includes autonomous vessels from Texas-based startup Saronic that it hopes will bolster the U.S. Navy. CEO Dino Mavroukis told Kristen Scholler more about it. Check it out.
So we started the company with a very, very straightforward mission, really to redefine maritime superiority. When we looked at the defense industrial base in this country and how we're building ships and how long those ships take to make, we recognize a massive problem. The Chinese have invested so heavily in this capability. You look 25 years ago, the Chinese were 5% of global shipbuilding capacity. Today, they're over 50%. They outbuild the United States 230 to 1. So we looked at that problem set and said, we fundamentally need a different solution. We need to think about this from the ground up, and how do we rebuild the defense industrial base focused on shipbuilding in the United States? Now, we started to, again, redefine maritime superiority, and we're just doing that through autonomy. So we started very quickly making autonomous boats, so smaller scale platforms that can be built in very, very large numbers for defense and commercial applications. Now, what we're doing today is we've actually expanded those product lines. We acquired a shipyard in Louisiana. We're building 150-foot autonomous ships that can be used for those same defense purposes, but more importantly, can be built in really large quantities very, very quickly.
Wow. And I see here quite impressively that you have quadrupled your valuation in just 7 months to $4 billion. Is that right?
That's correct. But more important than just the valuation number, it's what that's enabled. We've raised $1 billion to date.
Wow.
Why is that important? Because it lets us get the best technology in the hands of our warfighters as fast as possible. And it's critical that we move this quickly to deliver these types of capabilities, because the Department of Defense needs it. Our allies need these types of solutions, and we have to reinvent how we're building ships and boats in the defense space.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the newest innovations that you're developing right now?
So we announced 3 products in the past few months: Mirage, Cypher, and then Marauder. So if you look at our platforms, Spyglass, Cutlass, and Corsair, those are the platforms I mentioned, Corsair being the largest at 24 feet. That's in full-scale manufacturing. We have the capability to build hundreds and hundreds of those boats every year, and we're actually expanding that into thousands of platforms every single year. Mirage and Cypher take a step up from that platform. So going from 24 feet to then 50 feet plus, which enables you to really deliver more range and more payload capacity to expand the mission set. Now with Marauder, we're getting into a 150-foot autonomous ship. We have 2 ships under construction right now, and we're planning to splash our first ship before the end of the year. That's starting the construction process in January. So we're building our very first ship in under a year. That's the fastest ship that will be built in the United States since like World War II. And we're rethinking the entire process of how that's done.
You mentioned the autonomous factor earlier. Why is autonomy crucial to your strategy?
You're seeing a fundamental paradigm shift, where historic military assets were all manned by people. And those, depending on the asset, if it's a fighter jet, it might have 1 or 2 people on it. If it's a destroyer, it might have 500 people on it, but fundamentally manned by people. Now, with the shift into autonomy, how it started was you actually had many to one control, where take a Predator drone, for example. It actually takes 6 or 7 people to fly one Predator drone. One person is controlling it on a joystick. The other people are interpreting the data that's coming off of those sensors to then control one platform. What we're moving to is a state of one-to-many control, where the autonomy is actually controlling swarms of systems, which will let you deliver a whole nother type of deterrence or capability.
It's absolutely incredible. How is your company addressing the broader shipbuilding challenges that we face in the U.S.?
Manufacturability, you have to think about things from a first principles approach. If I said we were going to go build the same ships that they're building in China, we're only going to do it better, faster, and cheaper, we should stop the conversation, because that's not going to happen. So now if you make ships that are 95% more simple, than a traditional manned platform. You can increase the producibility of it. You can design it to manufacture at very high rates, and you can actually bring the price point down where you're bending the cost curve on a global scale to how much it costs to build and operate ships, which is absolutely critical if we're going to compete with China.
Yeah.
Thanks, Saronic CEO Dino Mavroukas and Kristen Scholler for that interview.